After the success of Cillian Murphy's 2024 movie, Small Things Like These, the Irish actor has maintained his incredible Rotten Tomatoes streak, and thus, has raised the bar for his upcoming franchise returns. Murphy has been in the acting business for a long time, getting his breakout in 2001's Disco Pigs. However, in recent years, Murphy has been recognized for his incredible work on projects like Peaky Blinders and Christopher Nolan's box office record breaker, Oppenheimer. Now, Murphy is continuing his streak of success, and setting high expectations, with his most recent release. Small Things Like These is a historical drama movie based on a book of the same name by Claire Keegan. The movie stars Murphy as Bill Furlong, a respected coal merchant who enters a conflict with the powerful nuns in his small town as he discovers a young pregnant woman being kept in a coal shed. The story has connections to the true story of the Irish Magdalene laundries, which were essentially workhouses for poor women who were accused of sexual promiscuity. Despite being a rather small film, Small Things Like These has proven to be a critical success. Small Things Like These continues Cillian Murphy's great Rotten Tomatoes streak. Murphy's best Rotten Tomatoes scores explained. Cillian Murphy in Small Things Like These. Since the release of Small Things Like These on November 1, 2024, the movie has earned a certified fresh 92% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes, alongside an 81% audience score. On its own, this score is quite impressive, especially for a relatively small international movie with a budget of only $3 million. However, it is also notable because it continues Murphy's nearly perfect Rotten Tomatoes streak that has lasted since 2016. Of Murphy's last 10 movies, only one has been labeled rotten, 2019's Anna, with a 34%, showing just how strong Murphy's resume is. Streaks aside, Murphy generally has a strong Rotten Tomatoes record. The actor has appeared in a vast number of movies, and many of them are not only highly rated, but also certified fresh. At this point, Murphy's highest-rated films include the 2023 animated film Kensuke's Kingdom, 2008's The Dark Knight, and 2023's Oppenheimer. Meanwhile, Murphy's lowest-rated movies are 2014's Aloft, 2014's Transcendence, and 2001's Disco Pigs. On top of that, Murphy's most popular TV show, Peaky Blinders, boasts a 93% critics and audience score. Cillian Murphy is returning to acclaimed roles for 28 Years Later and Peaky Blinders movie next. How Murphy's next roles will affect his career. 28 Days Later, Jim Running from Fire. The success of Small Things Like These is particularly exciting because it sets the stage for the two most highly anticipated movies in Murphy's future, 28 Years Later and the Peaky Blinders movie. It has been confirmed that Murphy will not only be reprising his role as Jim in the long-awaited sequel to 28 Days Later, but he will also return one last time as Thomas Shelby in the Peaky Blinders movie. As two of Murphy's most beloved and successful franchises, these upcoming movies are thrilling, and Small Things Like These success keeps Murphy on a positive path. In general, 28 Years Later and the Peaky Blinders movie are major steps forward for Murphy. 2023 was already a big year for the actor as he finally got the chance to be the lead in a Christopher Nolan movie, with whom he has collaborated for years. Then, the outstanding success of Oppenheimer put him even more in the spotlight, especially after his Oscars win. Therefore, his return to such significant franchises will keep the momentum going for Murphy, and will only improve if the movies end up being financially and critically successful. 28 Years Later and Peaky Blinders now have the pressure to keep Cillian Murphy's RT streak going. Will 28 Years Later and Peaky Blinders succeed? The only downside to the Rotten Tomatoes score of Small Things Like These is that it raises expectations for Murphy's next movies. It was already expected that 28 Years Later and the Peaky Blinders movie would be great films, but the success of Small Things Like These increases these hopes. Audiences want to believe that anything Murphy is in is going to be outstanding. Therefore, if Murphy's upcoming movies are disappointing in any way, the backlash could be even harsher because of Murphy's sterling reputation. He has set himself up for great success, but also awful failure. Fortunately, 28 Years Later and Peaky Blinders have strong foundations beneath them. 28 Years Later is being written by Alex Garland and directed by Danny Boyle, who were behind the original 28 Days Later. In the same vein, the Peaky Blinders movie is being written and directed by Stephen Knight and Tom Harper respectively, who previously worked on Peaky Blinders. Thus, with all the ingredients of success back together again, it seems likely that Small Things Like These is just an early hint at Cillian Murphy's upcoming greatness.